start recording, and I do believe that we have successfully started broadcast of Friar Otto's back porch for Saturday, October 13th, 2012. Rather soft night, as my mother-in-law would say, being from Ireland and all. She knew about kind of wet, foggy, drizzly weather. No, it's not foggy. It's not drizzly right now. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, sit on down and...
I tuned in last week. I was here for last week's show. And
Oh yeah?
I wanted to ask, I'm working on doing interviews. You know,
Okay,
so
sure.
I heard your show last week and I thought it would be a good show to interview.
Okay, sure. If you want to interview me?
Yeah, maybe
well,
something
sure.
like that.
Sure, any old thing. I'll answer what I can for you. So what is your purpose in doing all of this? Is this what you're doing for a radio show or something?
I'm working. I have an idea for a photographic radio show where I interview photographers, but I think my interviewing skills may be a little bit rusty.
So you're interviewing what kind of people?
Photographers.
Photographers, okay.
Or maybe art makers that I think is good.
Yeah, I like photography. I almost got into photography. I was into photography before I got into guitar.
When did you start making music?
Well, I think it all depends on what you mean by that. If you mean guitar playing, I started that when I was about 14.
14?
And I started doing music before that. I can't remember. I remember whistling on my way to school in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. This is here in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I'm from the Milwaukee area.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee area. Okay, no thanks, I appreciate that. So this here be Friar Otto's back porch. Ja, be Friar Otto, here's Abel with this kleine Kirche. Oh, I was a music minister and still am over at Here's Abowitz's Kleine Kirche. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties here with the microphone. So, all right, I think we've solved that for the moment. Now let's get back to where we... As I say, this is Friar Otto's back porch, so don't expect nothing fancier. It's just like me sitting at home. minister. Still am, as I say, over at friair. Oh, excuse me. Herr Zabowitz's Kleine Kirche. Yeah, over at Herr Zabowitz's Kleine Kirche, of course, the main gist of our work was bearing witness to spirit. Well, you can talk at me while I play.
Okay, sure. I guess I'd like to know, your music to me sounds like a lot of traveling music. Is traveling something that influences the music that you play?
No, I'm not much of a traveler. Maybe you're just feeling the spirit of it, the liveliness of it. It's all spontaneous, I've never played this before.
It's all impromptu music. And have you been? What's life is like a performer for you? Have you been performing out, or is it just internal? It just comes out as kind of meditative.
Well, I think it comes out more, like you say, as the meditative music, so it doesn't have too much commercial appeal. So I don't really play out. I go over to the Bremen Cafe and play on Thursday evenings at an open stage. As far as making any money and music, anything like that, that's something I don't seem to be able to do.
Were you trying to emulate something that you heard before, you think? Or
No.
you think you do you listen to records that much? Or no? You just play it out.
Oh, I've listened to the radio a lot, and I have listened to records a lot, all that kind of stuff. But I don't listen to the radio much anymore because I don't have a computer, you know, so I don't get the stuff online. I know that I could get anything I wanted online, you know, like the stuff I used to listen to, and probably just the stuff I wanted to listen to, you know. Because when I would listen to radio stations, you know, mainly the classical and the jazz stations here in Milwaukee, there were a couple of each. One classical station, but a couple of nice jazz places. But, you know, when you listen to the radio, well, you don't get to hear just what you want. Some of it you hear is just what you want. But, you know, you go online, you can probably get just what you want. No, I just got into original music after a while. I mean, I've studied classical, jazz, that kind of stuff. But I always was drawn to the spontaneous nature of music, you know, just like an outflowing of part of your soul, you know. And that's kind of important to me, you know, being that's why I'm friair, you know. I think it's rather important, if nothing else, just to recognize that part of us. So really, I just get down to the point of doing my own voice, kind of a thing, you know. I feel no need to play other people's music, you know.
When do you feel like you found your voice? When were you like confident enough to start like?
Well, it's a process kind of a thing, you know. When you get started, I mean, I tried doing the commercial thing, you know, and I had a bit of success, you know, if I kept at it, you know. But you know, gigging here and there, you know, that kind of thing, private parties, you know, once in a while, a nice award ceremony, a corporate event, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, you got to be out there spending a lot of time hustling those gigs down, and I didn't feel like putting the energy into the business angle of it, you know. I had limited time, you know. My main gig, Herr Zabowitz and I would do tree work, you know. That's what we did to support ourselves. Yeah, we didn't have brandy or illuminated manuscripts or anything else that would, you know, that we could barter in the world, you know, for what we needed. And so we were tree folks, you know. So as a process of finding out that really, for me to go out pursuing that kind of a thing was more or less not what. See, I'm a courtier of the muse, you know.
Courtier.
A courtier of the muse.
Okay.
And, you know, anybody who's studied music history a little bit knows what that means. You know, it's you know, more or less a worshiper of the muse of music. You know, if I were speaking in terms of the Greek. You know, cosmology, that kind of thing. And so I just got to the point after a while that I felt by doing all that kind of stuff, I really wasn't doing my mistress justice. You know, I wasn't loving her just the way she wanted me to. You know, and so I figured I just got to go with the flow, and if she wants to keep me for herself, that's fine with me. I guess that's all I can do, you know.
Is it something that you do every day? Is it
yeah, it's like a religion to me. If I don't
some kind of identity, or
if I don't play every day, it's like, you know, a day without the sunshine, you know, like your Florida orange juice or whatever you want to call it. But see, there was a time when I got into the original music angle of it. But I still did cover stuff, you know, classical things and jazz things when I would go out and play, besides mixing in my original stuff that people thought was okay, that would work. See, everybody I play for, they say, wow, we like what you're doing, but the jazz people hear me and they accept me, but they say you're not us. Country western guys, all the genres say, well, yeah, what you're doing is cool, but you're not us. Nobody can pigeonhole. I'm like a spring out in the wilderness. Music just flowing out. This here be for the music for an unwritten spaghetti western. See, I'm a friar that's right down there on the grassroots. I walk the thin razor sharp line between light and dark. Got a foot in both worlds. Remember when those first spaghetti westerns came out? Oh, they were supposed to be violent. Hey, they were the most violent movies we'd seen at that point. Graphic in their depiction. They ain't nothing compared to what's out there today. The original stuff was, I would say about 35 years ago, I had a mentor for a short time, till health issues took her away. So when I went to see her in the hospital towards the end, she wanted me to play for her. Played some of the classical stuff and I played her some of my stuff. She said she liked my stuff better because it was me. For me, it's the thrill and the rush of playing, If I don't feel it, if the spirit ain't there, it's just empty, hollow notes as far as I'm just telling the folks over at the Bremen Cafe on Thursday evening, you gotta watch out. Don't mess around with music too much, folks. It's the ultimate addiction. Ask Charlie Parker. Ask Mozart. Ludwig. Franz Schubert. Robert Schumann. Chuck. Your mind. time one of my instructors told me something he thought I didn't want to hear when I was trying to be a commercial musician, trying to be something that I am not. He said, you get lost when you're reading music. He thought I would be sad about that, but actually I was delighted. If I don't get lost in the music, I'm not making it. Friar Otto's back porch. We have Mark here this evening.
Matthew, but
Matthew, I'm sorry. At least I got the first two letters right.
I don't sing it. Usually I interview. But Friar Otto is an impromptu show, so it's all improv.
So sure, you're part of the show now.
I'm part of the show, so.
Well, you're part of what's happening. What Spirit has brought us this evening. To Friar Otto's back porch every Saturday night on RiverWestRadio.com. You guys just walking in the neighborhood?
I was coming around here, but I choose the restaurant next time.
See, some guys are. You can stop in without picking out a video. Are they playing it outside or you just heard it? Sometimes they play it outside on the speaker.
They do newscasting at 3 o'clock here.
Oh, you guys do? Oh, so you're very familiar with this guy. So, you got any questions?
I think I'm lost in meditation.
Well,
I
that's
did
what
have
it's all
some.
about.
I thought I had some questions about maybe earlier years, but I think you covered that pretty good. Where do you see your? Where do you want to go that you haven't gotten to play, or is there a
Well,
place like
yeah,
that?
well, I wouldn't mind playing for large crowds, you know.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind going out and, playing 4 or 5 times a year for 20, 30,000 a throw, you know. But I ain't gonna go around chasing around $60 gigs. 4 hours for $60. I can make more money splitting firewood, delivering pizzas than doing that, you know. So I'd rather just play my heart out for myself and let the world go on by, you know. If something happens, you know,
When you're on the other side, when you can make music, when you have to go into work, are you around music? Do you feel like
no.
you can't be? So when you come,
Oh, I could be if I wanted to, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't.
so then it's kind of separate from when you're playing music. You have your hours during the day where you're away from it, but you.
Well, yeah, but you see, when I go to work, I'm still the same person I am when I'm playing the music.
Mhm.
You see, when you're of the artistic nature, you take that with you wherever you go. I mean, I don't know about other people, but I would suppose some of them do that. Some of them might be able to separate but you see, I'm self-employed as a tree guy, and it's a creative kind of endeavor, because there's no two trees exactly alike, you know. And there's no two situations, you know, when I've done all facets of tree work, you know. I consider myself to be a climber, you know, still. And so there's always new and challenging situations you've never been in before, and so it's kind of like the same. It's impromptu, you know. It's spontaneous, you know. You got to sit there and have it, you know, figure it out while you're doing it. You know? And so in the music, that's pretty much what I'm doing too. You know? Though, say like that last piece, I had a framework that I've worked with for years, you know, a basic chord progression, you know. It's never been expressed exactly like that, but I mean, there's some certain identity to that piece. You know, the first thing I did is something I've been playing with, but it hasn't really crystallized. It was just something I felt like spontaneously, or spirit felt like spontaneously flipping off, you know, that kind of a thing. And so.
Who are some of the earlier people you liked? Was it like Mississippi John Hurt or?
That's just remarkable that you mentioned Mississippi John Hurt, because he's one of my all-time favorites. You know. He wasn't one of my first ones that brought me to guitar, but when I got onto him after I'd been into guitar for about 5 or 6 years, it just blew my mind, you know, because of the joy. I could just feel the spirit of his playing. You know.
That was.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for stopping by and listening. Oh yeah, this one keeps drooping down here. Yeah, I'm trying to tighten this up, but it just doesn't seem to work. I'll keep an eye on it, and as it droops down, I'll keep setting it up. Yeah, so
So you started out? Did you
I started
maybe
out-
buy some records, or
no.
when did it
What
happen?
happened was, well, when I first started out playing music, I started whistling, like I told you, and humming along with. Is that better? Yeah, I'll just watch it as it droops down. I'll just keep putting it up.
Yeah, it's all has with the weight differential.
Oh, okay. Well, then I can maybe move the case a little bit here. And so I first got into harmonica, and I started playing by ear. You know, my grandfather played harmonica, and I was raised in my grandfather's house. I mean, so
Here in Milwaukee, and
yeah, out on the west side, out near what we call County General, but it's Freighted area right now. Yeah, it's
familiar
Freighted.
with it.
And so I played around with that for a while.
What's it like growing up out on the west side, being inspired by music? Where did you have like a record store, or people were playing music?
No, I think what got me into it or exposed me to it was My father listened to records a lot.
Uh-huh.
Like when he would come home at night, you know, he would kind of lay down and listen to records. And then when he'd get up after taking a nap, you know, before dinner or I think it was before dinner he would take a nap, as I recall. And I would kind of sit there and, you know, lay down with him and listen too, you know. And he played all kinds of stuff. But what I remember mostly was the country western and the classical stuff. And then my mother was humming a lot around the house. See, my parents were born and raised, you know, in the time when radio was out there with no TVs. And a lot of times people made their own music a little bit more. I mean, not that they, you know, nobody made music around my house. Except once in a while my grandfather would pull out his harmonica and play. That's why I got into harmonica. So then when I could get to, of course I had to go to school. It's the law. So when I could, you know, and I got into 5th grade, I could take an instrument, a band, and so I took trumpet, you know, and I liked trumpet a lot. Because, you know, back in the 50s and all, there were a lot of music shows on the air. And we'd see people on there, you know, jazz people. I'd see Harry James on TV, Duke Ellington, not so much, but a lot of times I'd see Count Basie's orchestra on TV and stuff.
Was there a presence in the city of that?
Well, I don't know about that. Well, there was it back in those days, yeah, sure. One of Nat King Cole's albums was live albums. One of his best live albums that they have out is one that he recorded here in Milwaukee when he came through back in the 50s or 60s or whatever. Would have been the late 50s, early 60s, because I remember I was really sad when he died because I really loved Nat King Cole. You know. There were the car radios. I was always into music, you see. When we'd be driving in the car, we'd be listening to popular stuff. My parents were listening to stuff that from the 30s and the 40s, you know, and once in a while there'd be the 50s stuff on the radio. Then we had radios at home. I used to listen to the radio.
This is backseat riding in the. What kind of car are we riding in here?
Oh, we used to ride around in old scruffy Hudsons because my father never had a heck of a lot of money to spend on a car back in those days. And so he was always, back in those days, he'd get himself a $150 car. He was the last stop on the way to the junkyard. And there were a lot of them were old Hudsons with that old wide back deck and that window. You know, they had this real big back window. They were aerodynamic actually for their age, but they were just big, you know.
And they had
flippy.
flat surfaces probably. Now
No, curved. It was curved.
when we look out the window, they're all curved. You can't even put a coffee down anymore.
Yeah, not on a Hudson.
But maybe you could. I don't know. These cars, they're
These
more.
aren't Hudsons. These aren't Hudsons. Hudsons went out years ago. They weren't even being made anymore when my father would buy them. But they were still on the road, you know, because the company had just gone out of business, that kind of thing. There used to be more car makers than just the big three. And my mother's singing at home, or humming. And then when I got to be about 14, I decided I wanted to switch to guitar, and that's what I did. I kind of gave up trumpet. Later on, I would pull it out once in a while. Maybe when I was in my 30s, I would pull it out and play it once in a while when I had time. But then I decided I'd put it away and really say, really, guitar is what I am.
And did you go to a school here, or were you kind of outside of all of?
You mean public schools?
No,
music?
it's a musical.
Well, I started going to private instructors first. After I tried teaching myself for a while, but I wasn't confident that I was getting anywhere with it. And I didn't even really know what I wanted to do at that time with music. I just kind of felt drawn. I just felt that I needed something, some consuming interest. I'd been searching for something, like I told you. I almost got into photography. But something washed me. It was too expensive. Chemicals, because I really like the darkroom stuff. All the stuff you can do in the darkroom. So I went to private instructors for a while.
You never went on, were you able to go on tours or travel around with your music, or you always stayed local?
Well, I knew deep inside that I was an artist. And then I know that being an artist, you know, you're taking a risk of making a living. That's why I got into doing tree work with my father here at Zabowitz, you see. Because I could make a living, and I was rather free, you know. If I felt in my early days before I got strapped down into marriage and raising kids and stuff like that, I'd work for a couple of months, save up my money, and then I'd take 2 or 3 months off until my bankroll was gone, and then I'd go back to work. And my father never asked me any questions what I was doing. He said, "You do what you want to do, and when you want to come back, you come back. Just tell me about a week or so before you go, so that we get done the jobs we need you on before. Kind of give me an idea when you might get back, because there's certain jobs that you can do that nobody else can do here for us." Well, we've got other people, but nobody in the family can do.
So you're going out with a truck, like a big, like a logging truck, or?
No, it was a pickup truck.
Over southern Wisconsin, or?
With the Milwaukee area, the Milwaukee metro area. I've been all over the Milwaukee metro area. I've worked on every property from the inner city to Pine Lake. I've dealt with all kinds of people. See, by not having to make money at music, I'm free to do the music I want, rather than to do the music I have to do and pretend that I'm doing proper justice to my mistress. Because doing what you have to do is not the same as doing what you want to do. And it comes from a different spot within you. And the mistress, she don't want that spot. Large audiences that would appreciate what spirit seems to be throwing through me, so be it. If it don't, I don't care. If I've labored in obscurity for nigh on 45 years, a few more years till I play out my hand, ain't gonna bother, because I'm in it for the long haul. See, music is one of the things that defines you. You can't take your money. I can't take this guitar with me, but I can take what I am with me when I go. And if whatever part of music that I am, I get to take that. I ain't laying my treasures up where the thieves and the moths can get at them. And the rust. So that gives my music a certain freedom. And since I don't play for money, I'm not beholden to anybody to dance to their tune and say, "I expect you to be this. I expect you to be that." I say, that ain't me. I ain't doing that. Because I got a different way of making a living. I don't need you. I don't need to kiss your ass. I don't need to slave myself to you. If you like what I'm doing, great. If you don't matter to me. I'm gonna make it anyways. See, when you're an artist, you gotta make it. Otherwise, the pressure, whatever you do, it builds up inside you and you can't stand it. You gotta let it out. Oh, there was a time when I was out of music for a while. Because I was listening to people that were saying, "Well, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be doing this and that." You should be doing more to try to support your family. And I listened to him for a little while until I started having funny feelings when I wake up in the morning. I'd just be as I was half asleep, you know, when you're waking up. I get to this feeling that's like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. When are you gonna get down doing what you're supposed to be doing? So, okay. So once I started playing, I never stopped after that. Though I had a hard time finding playing time.
Do you know of any other tree trimmers who are musicians by trade or arborist people who are also music players?
No, but I don't know many other tree guys. I suspect there's a few. See, Segovia was one of my first influences.
How do you say it?
Segovia.
Segovia.
Segovia, a famous classical guitarist. He's considered the father of the modern classical revival of the classical guitar. Yeah, sunny day, you take my blues away. Yeah, sunny day, take my blues away. Yeah, sunny day, I take my blues away. Boom, bum, baby, boom. Ah, yeah, every once in a while the kids say, hey, Dad, you know, why it's getting to be this holiday, getting to be that holiday, a special day that we're supposed to go out and get you something. What do you want, Dad? Well, I finally figured out what I want. I want one sunny day, yeah, take my blues away, yeah, sunny day, take my blues away, yeah, sunny day, yeah, take my blues away. Take me back to the old hayfield out there in southeastern Osaki County. Long bow shot from the Lake Michigan shores. The water. The actual water of the lake. About 150 yards due west and maybe another 100 yards down at a 60-degree slope. Give me a day to lay out there in that old hayfield and just watch them clouds go by. Hum ba ba da ba ba dee da bum bum boom ba ba doo bum boo. Yeah, let me listen to all them bugs singing and watch them crawling around in that forest of grass. Hayfield just about ready for cutting. You know, it's about 3-4 feet high in places. All kinds of stuff in there. Ain't all just grass. There's milkweeds and there's Queen Anne's lace, and chicory and goldenrod and all. Strawberries once in a while. Yeah, I remember back in those days there's farmers out there. Well, at one time I could tell the difference between oats. I can still tell the difference between oats and wheat. But wheat and rye we could do. Flax fields in the sun when they're in bloom, man, such pretty blue flowers. Yeah, give me a time when about 12, 13 years old. one day. No, no job, no need for a job, no mortgage, no dog, no cat, no car problems, no wife problems, no kid problems, nothing but total freedom. So Mississippi John Hurt was a big influence when I heard him. Another big influence was reggae music. I really got off on Bob Marley stuff.
Sometimes when I listen, I hear the Mescaleros. That was a late project of a man named Joe Strummer. He was the front man of the band called The Clash.
Okay, I've heard of that.
And his later stuff is kind of like what you're doing now. But I was also thinking about tree trimmers and there's a fellow down in Austin, Texas named White. I can't remember, is it Jack White maybe? And he plays music something like that too. And then I was thinking, I remember a long time ago there was a film made by a man named John Cohen, and he went to Asheville. He went over to Asheville, North Carolina, and he made a film about sing talkers in the Carolinas. There's instead of calling up on the phone, they would there was this way of singing your conversation to each other, and this went along with also some music, banjo playing.
Well, there's a lot of guys a lot of people that are devoted to music and make a living some other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the African high life music that came out of some of the old former French colonies in Central Africa. When I listened to John Beatles' African Hour.
John Beatles' African Hour.
Yeah, I used to be on YMS, and for a while he was playing a lot of those kind of records, and just the driving beats, and it was just dance and trance music would just send me, you know. And I really liked the old swing music, you know, and so I do some kind of things, you know, that are in that vein, you know, folk music stuff. So many musical experiences people that are into it have that you can't really pinpoint one of them. It's just a process of growth.
Or that it's all interconnected, all the music out there, it's all really connected.
Music is fundamental to the very fabric of the universe, because it deals with vibrational, what's going on with vibrations. It's said that music is the most spiritual of the arts. And it's deeper than words. That's why I don't get into the words too much. Words come from a place in the mind that's a little bit higher, not maybe higher, but I would say shallower. It's not as close to the center of things as music is.
Close to the roots of it.
Well, close to the true essence of our being. Words actually take us away from our true essence. Or they can, and they often do. Not always. I suppose if they're used right, they can be powerfully positive for us, but most of the time, of course, we use them powerfully wrong for ourselves. So music goes deeper.
But you feel like the accuracy is played without words for you, being accurate, importance of being accurate.
Well, I wouldn't say accurate as being something that puts you in the proper frame of mind to receive the inspiration of the Spirit. not that words can't do that, you know, poetry and some very good, you know, writing. Does it too, but ultimately music is always deeper than words. Because poetry, the true poetry, goes beyond the words.
Were there other fields of art that you were inspired by that
yes.
made you?
Oh, sure. Artists, when I was in high school, were my heroes, and I didn't know anything about baseball players. I knew something about football players because I was born in Wisconsin back in the '60s when the Packers were on top. Back in those days, so I knew about the Packers basically because my father would listen and my mother would listen to them. We'd watch the games and listen to them. So the visual arts, my sister was into the visual arts. So I've always been real close to that kind of field. When I was in high school, after I got done with my chores on Saturdays, I used to go down to the Arts Center just to be there. Back in those days, you could get in free. And, recently when I go to the art museum, I just go to one place now. I go to the Haitian exhibit because Haitian art just does it for me. Well, some of the Impressionists I like can really turn me on. And some of the wild stuff from the Middle Ages and you wonder what these people were on when they drew some of these things. I wonder, some of the paintings I would see at the Art Center when I go down in high school and stuff like it. I'll have to look around and see if that one with all the eggs running around with heads and arms and legs is still out there. It was done back in, 12, 13, 1400, something like that. But the Haitian stuff is what gets me. The real stuff, not the commercialized stuff, but the real McCoy stuff. For some reason or another, it just grabs me and sets me free. And a lot of times when I'm feeling down, I've kind of lost my way because just being a friar doesn't make you any closer to the truth or the destination than you were before or anybody else. It just means that you set your feet on the trail. It doesn't mean you can't get lost for a while. I'm continually losing the trail and having to find it again. When I've lost the trail, a lot of times I start to remember just sitting in the Haitian gallery. I would sit in the Haitian gallery for an hour or two at a time. I'd watch, just sit and be there, gaze at this painting, gaze at that painting. Because I know how to look at art. I know how to feel it. Because I'm an artist. Music happens to be my medium. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate the other artists. It's just to mean I don't participate. I'd see people walking in and out of there, they breeze through there in 2 minutes. Like they're looking at, like they had to walk through. We're here, we have to see every inch of it, whether we know what we're seeing or not. Well, maybe they're just getting an overview of the place, so they'll come back and find the stuff they really like and what really turns them on. But time will tell, and I'll never know that. So next time I go to the art gallery, I'm just going to head over to the Haitian there and make sure I got a few hours just to sit there. I'll have to call them up and make sure they got my favorite Hector Hippolyte up on the wall.
Hector Hippolyte.
Yeah, he's one of the major figures in Haitian art. But I appreciate many of the other artists also. I gotta reminder, this is Friar Otto's back porch. I don't think we need the disclaimer this evening that we've got to worry that River West Radio may be held liable for anything I've said and done, but I don't think that happened this evening. But even if it did, RiverWestRadio.com could never, ever be held responsible for what I say or Friar Otto says and does on this show, because whatever Friar Otto says and does is solely his property. For this broadcast, all previous broadcasts, and all future broadcasts. I claim my full copyright protection privileges. It may not ever make me some money, but maybe it'll make somebody else some one day. Maybe I'll have to drop out a site like Mississippi John Hurt. Maybe somebody will come looking for me. Now that I put an archive on this radio station, I can leave, and there'll be a body of my work intact. Or spirit's work, because of myself I do nothing. It's all the action of spirit. So you can catch me at Bremen Cafe on Thursday evenings for the time being. I hear tell they may be shutting that down because the bartender's getting sick and tired of putting up with an open stage. I don't know. Maybe if there's enough people that come in there and keep her busy and throw lots of money in her tip jar, she may decide to keep it going. So
Thank you.
Stop on by if you can.
Thank you, Friar, for letting me sit in on your show and
Thanks for
interview.
Let me talk at you so you can
Yeah.
find out a little bit. You gonna do anything with this?
No, I'm just honing in on my skills as a interviewer.
Well, till next week. Vaya con Dios.